real African American.
And I
I'm
am
a Moorish American. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soar through the shores and endure criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan, Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, face a Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right, here we go. So this is Moors in America, and today we're going to be speaking on what a real Moorish American is. What is a Moorish American? What do they look like? How do they conduct themselves? And we're going to discuss and make it plain and clear why you're not a real Moorish American if you think you can leave out the Moorish Science Temple of America, if you think you can leave out Islam, if you think you can leave out the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and especially if you think you can leave out submitting to the will of our Creator, Allah. All right? We're going to make that plain and clear and understandable for all intelligent people out there. And this is important, but also by doing this by default, we will also be exposing the Negro Moors, the nigger Moors, the blacker Moors. In other words, those faking the funk, those pretending to be Moorish Americans, those who are making a mockery of the movement. And I think it's really important that we all get this message and that we all click like and share to help spread the word. Why? Because you have people who are sincere, who are coming in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to do the work to help build the nation. And they're getting turned away because they're running into Negro Moors, right? Imagine how disheartening it would be to be a Moor that's coming in, it's ready to get the work done, and you've got people in there who are pretending to be Moors, pretending to be like you. They're pretending. They may look like you, they may act like they're Moors, but they're not like you. They're not sincere. Okay, so we need to clean things up, because you know, you may think that this is just some internet thing, something you can just get little pieces of information from here and there and just put them together and just do whatever you want. You might think you can be out here getting high and drunk and twerking on cars and doing all types of ignorant, disgusting, savage things and claiming to be a Moor, but you can't. It's not just something that's just thrown together. There's actually law and order to this. There's structure to this. And so it's important that we know that. Like I was saying before, not only just for us, but also for those who are coming in, who want to get the work, who are sincere. They need to know. They need to know, and we also need to raise the bar so that those who are in here, who are trying to make a mockery of the movement, can return to the state where the prophet found them. Imagine how disheartening it can be for someone coming in, ready to get the work done, and your own leaders or people pretending to be Moorish leaders are married to Europeans, right? Even though in the Quran, it teaches us not to amalgamate. Imagine how disheartening it could be to come in and you have Moorish people in there trying to get over on other Moors. They're beating women, beating children, just doing things that have nothing to do with being a Moor. And I know that Islam scares a lot of Negroes. It scares Negroes. It makes them run away like roaches when you turn the lights on. But this is why it's needed. And so I'm pretty sure after seeing this, listening to this and seeing what's shared, everyone will have a clear understanding of why that can't be left out. And if the roaches must scatter, let them scatter. They're not going to drag down something that's divine down to a Negro level. We can never allow that to occur. And on that note, let's go ahead and just jump into it and get started. All right, Islam Moors. Peace. Want to build with you all briefly. Just speak about something that I saw, share my opinion, what I think. A sister had shared.
Take the next left onto Thrush Drive, then turn left onto Fox Hill Drive.
So a sister had shared a post with pictures of her. She's like all beat up, bruised, cut, and she's got like pictures of a dude, I guess her boyfriend or whatever, getting arrested. Right? Obviously insinuating that he beat her. Okay? And then the reason why we're talking about this is because this dude in the picture, he's getting handcuffed by the police, and he's got on a fez and a t-shirt that says Moorish. Okay, and then she's talking about it, like how basically people out here faking the funk, acting like they're one thing, but in, secret doing another. So this isn't really just about that post. This is about what it means to be a Moorish American in general. But this is a good example. So maybe we could put this picture up on the screen. I don't really want to, this isn't a court. We're not trying these people. Like, everybody's innocent till proven guilty. You're just sharing it because it's public. The person went public with it. You look at both of their profiles. They public. They got all these pictures with the Moorish flag, the dude and the female, the Moorish garb and everything, right? So it's all public. It's open season on everything that's posted online. Okay, so anyway, they put that out there. I want to speak on this because
You know, you got a whole bunch of people sharing it and commenting on it. And I saw a brother that I know, good brother Shaw Elves, speaking about the temple. Like, you know, where are you located? Get in the temple. This is not what we do. This is not what Moorish Americans do. This isn't how, not saying the Moorish Americans are perfect, but like we are supposed to be working on being the best version of ourselves, literally working on subduing our lower self to be our higher self. Right? To unfold our higher self, to unfold spirit man, Allah, amen. So this is what true Moorish Americans are about. And I saw somebody on the post, they like F the temple, you know? Just an angry sister, I guess, just F the temple. And you know, I want to address that because people don't even see that's the problem. You like F the temple, but you want to be in your lower self. You want to be the worst version of you, but claim to be a Moor, or claim to be whatever you claim. And some people, they take bits and pieces of the information and apply it to them and leave everything else. So they don't want to claim to be a Moor, but you want to claim to be indigenous to the Americas or something. Like, they claiming whatever they want, and you still want to be out here as a female, maybe being provocative, scantily clad, you know, getting high, taking pictures, video, you know, shaking your butt, showing your butt, calling yourself the B word, you know, savage, all of these things. Want to still be savage, but for the ones that want to claim more, but you want to claim to be a Moor. And then you want to say F the temple, and you don't see how that's a contradiction. It don't work like that. Everybody is not a Moor. Everybody's not Moorish American, and especially since, you know, to be a true Moorish American, you're a Muslim at the end of the day. And to be a true Muslim, you submit to the will of Allah. You subdue the higher self in order to unfold Allah within you. And it's not always easy. But this is what a true Moorish American is. At the end of the day, you can't separate us from our religion, because our ancestors always had a society where the ruler is a priest king. And the ruler is maintained in that position by a priesthood. We always had that. It doesn't matter if you're in Egypt. It doesn't matter if you're in Mesoamerica, talking about the Olmecs, the Mayans, whatever. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter where you're at. We always had this priesthood and even a priest king. So the king is an earthly representative of God, which means the king, queen, whoever, they must be submitting to their own higher self. They must be, you know, in control of their lower self. They must at least be aware of this and conscious of this, cognizant of this. You understand? So we always had that. So you can't separate it. So that's where you're wrong if you think that you're a Moorish American, but you're not religious, right? You're not a Muslim. You don't care about all that. You're not really a Moorish American. You're just a savage out here faking the funk. You're pretending. Like, here's the thing. Some people will join with us, our local temple, and you don't hear from them again, right? Because it's not appealing to them. Oh, you just about church. They ain't even been to a single meeting, or maybe only been to one meeting, if that. But they, this ain't for me, right? Why is that? Because you're coming in, you're thinking there's some way to get over. There's something there for you, or got a boyfriend in prison, or something that you can get out of it that can help you out, where you can still be in your lower self and you don't have to do any work, right? Because like nowadays, everybody's a god, right? Even Eminem had a song Rap God, so you could just, I'm a god, I'm a goddess. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to subdue your own lower self, your own animal nature, your carnal self. You could be out here taking hoe pictures, right? Hoish videos online, being a hoe in real life, right? Dudes sagging your pants, being ignorant, participating in criminal activity, right? Beating your wife, beating your girl, not even having a wife, just impregnating women, right? maybe not even taking care of your children. You can do all this. No, you can't. If you're a true Moorish American, you are a Muslim, and you know that you have to work on those things. You can't just do that. Not saying that you're perfect, but you got to work on that. If you've been making bad decisions, now you must make amends. If you had children that you weren't taking care of, now you got to do better now. You have to be a mother and a father, right? Because Moorish American Muslims are responsible. And yeah, we do have a religion, because religion binds you back to something. We're coming back into the ways of our ancestors. We're actually coming back into our true nature, which is always at one with Allah, the creator of the universe. So you can't separate Moorish Americans from their religion. You can't, because our ancestors were always like this. We always had a theocratic society. We never separated the spirituality, the God aspect, from governing ourselves, from science, from any aspects of our life. It was a part of our life, always. The divine was an aspect of everything, okay? So we didn't just make food and just put preservatives in it to make it last longer, and put bright colors in it, and put it in all this packagings and selling right now. No, we didn't do that. We did things in divine order, right? Eating this is good. It provides nourishment for the body. So you can't take these ways of Rome into something that's divine. You want to hold on to the ways of Rome, and you might agree with some of the stuff I'm saying, but you don't really see how you are trying to force the ways of Rome into something that is divine. Like, maybe you aren't with all the fake food and all this stuff, but you with the fake mindset, way of being. You with, getting high and drunk, having a real substance abuse problem, right? Instead of being cool with yourself, you only cool if you're drunk and high. That means you got a problem. Maybe you're depressed or something. There's a problem. You need to address that. You need to be cool and comfortable in your own skin. You don't need to feel like you got to be high and drunk out your mind just for you to be cool, right? So these are things to work on. That's the lower self, right? This is why when you go into ancient Egypt and you look at the sculptures, you look at the things carved out of stone, the things carved into the walls, you'll see so many representations, even entire buildings that are representations of mastery over the lower self. The Sphinx, another one. You had the head of a human and the body of a lion, or the body of a beast. Okay? So this was an everyday aspect of life. This is something that is so important. We need to carve this out of solid stone. We need to make this, a part of our everyday life. We cannot forget this. That's how important it was. And so you can't be a Moorish American and leave out that religion. You have to be a Muslim at the end of the day. So you can't say F the temple, because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought that to you. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the one that set up the nation. It didn't like nowadays anybody could just get on, the internet, post a bunch of memes, get on YouTube, and just act like you did something. He was actually out there physically teaching the people, physically setting these communities up, right? And physically moving as a nation. So if you don't accept the Prophet, that means that you're not really a Moorish American Muslim. As he said, you lose confidence in him, you got to return to the state where he found you. But you're going to do that on your own, because if you have a problem with being a Muslim, there's something else going on there. Maybe you have a problem with cleaning yourself up. You have a problem with the other things that come along with being a true Moorish American Muslim. And so you're going to be a Negro, because you still going to have those tendencies, right? Like females, you want to be all loose sexually, you want to be all out there. Those are the ways of Rome. You can't bring that into something that's divine. I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter how you try to twist it. It ain't going to work. It's not. You females out there always want to take a picture. Anytime the camera's on, you want to shake something. You want to stick your tongue out with your middle finger up, right? You want to do that and claim to be a Moor. It's not going to work. It's not divine. And then on the other side of that, you want to be out here having sex with different people and then get mad when you got children with no father or several fathers. You know, it's like it's not happening by accident. It's all by the choices that we're out here making. And so you can't take that. Then you want to call yourself the B word, a bitch. A bitch is a female dog, wolf, fox, or otter. It's a beast. You want to be in beast mode, savage. You want to claim that and then claim to be a Moor. Are you insane? That is the exact opposite of where we're at and where we're going. So you can't bring that savagery into the movement. And this is why you have people out here, like, maybe not, you know, like this case that I was just talking about. It's why you got people out here now beating a girl, okay, and doing God knows what else, right? Doing horrible, despicable things and claiming to be a Moor. You don't even know what it means to be a Moor. You think you can just put on the garb. You can just put on a costume. That's all it is for you. It's a costume. It's fake. You're faking the funk. You're not a Moor. You're not a real Moor. A Moorish American is a Muslim. There's no way around that. You can't fake that. If you're not doing that, you are not Moorish American. You are something else. And all you're doing is bringing harm to the movement. You're making yourself look bad, of course, but you're also forming the public opinion that's against it. You're making other people, other Asiatics, turn away from the truth because you're making it look bad. This is a more mild example. You're a man, or you think you're a man, but you're out here sagging your pants, right? Why would you do that anyway when that's homosexual prison culture, right? The dudes were sagging their pants to let everyone know that they were with the homosexual activity, right? So why would you out here in the free world be doing that? I mean, unless that's how you move, right? It just, you know, it's a mindless activity. It shows that you're not strong. You don't even got your stuff together. You just slumping and slagging. You're not even like on point. You so whack and lame. Your pants is falling, right? You're not active. You're not on point. A man's supposed to be ready for whatever. You can't just do whatever because your pants is falling down, right? And you do activity. That's what it really. You got a bunch of people doing it. So say you're out here, you're doing it, and you got your fez on, and you got your Moorish t-shirt, right? All you're doing is making all Moors look like they're with that foolishness. You're making the movement look bad. If you're a female, you're claiming to be a Moor, right? Say one day, or when you're around other Moors, you got a turban on or something. You're trying to look like a Moor, but hey, no, you doing whole shit. You're being a savage. At the end of the day, you're being a savage, right? You're taking pictures butt first. You know, like this is what they do. They stick the middle finger up, tongue out. You savage. You savage. You with that savage lifestyle. This is what you're showing to the world. You're not a Moorish American Muslim. You're not. You're not even Moorish American because you can't separate the religion. All right? Not saying that Moors got to be perfect. It's just that it's got to be in your head that, hey, I'm not even going to put that type of imagery out because, you know, our prophet let us know that, hey, we're not up to be out here making the movement look bad, making ourselves look bad. Like, once you know better, you have to do better, right? You can't be Moorish American and you're beating your wife. You're supposed to be protecting and providing for your wife and children. You can't have a girlfriend. You're supposed to have a wife, right? You're not supposed to just got some jump off that you're just sleeping with. She's supposed to be your wife, right? That cleans you up. Now you have more responsibility. Now you're more of a man because you're not just out here just reckless, irresponsible. We can't afford to be like that. You can't build a nation like that. So say you got a lot of women that's like that, irresponsible, reckless, okay? And then, okay, that's bad. That's terrible. But you can't have the men out here like that too. Then there's no hope. Who's going to clean it up? Who's going to change things around? Where are the soldiers? Where are the warriors? right? So you can't be like that. You have to be disciplined. Now, I'm not saying that women don't have to be disciplined. Everyone needs to. But here's the thing. If there's already a problem, right? If you already have a high amount of people that are with the savagery, that are with the foolishness, somebody gonna have to get it together. And so if you're a man, you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. You have to have your affairs in order. You have to have yourself under control. That means you have to have control over your own lower self. You can't be out here just trying to sleep with any and everything. That's what they teach you. That's what they've been pumping you. You think you're doing these things out of your own, you think that this is all your own creation. Everything that you're doing, you're making your own decisions. No, you've been programmed. You've been programmed to be like this and you don't even realize it. You've been programmed to think it's cool to participate in criminal activity. You've been programmed to think it's cool to, to be out here getting drunk and high. And like, here's the thing, especially for you people who are younger, you don't even realize like in the 90s, we didn't think it was cool to pop pills. We weren't crackheads. We definitely didn't think it was cool to smoke crack, heroin, none of that mess. We didn't want to do anything that could be associated with, anything that could be seen as crackish. All right? Trying to get high off of any and everything was crackish activity. You understand? Just, as soon as you go in somebody's house, let me go look through the medicine cabinet, see what they got. Like, that's some crackhead mess. Look, if you grew up, like, if you were my age and, you know what I'm saying is true. Even if you about popping pills now, you done went stupid. But if you grew up in the 80s, you grew up in the 90s, you should know better. That's crackish activity. You don't want to be a crackhead. So, it wasn't cool to be trying to get high off of any and everything. But now you don't realize you've been programmed to be like that. Through the music, you bumping, you bopping to the music. You don't even realize that it's programming. You're being in it. This is why they'll pay some Negroes, some money to entertain you, because they're entertraining you. It's entertainment. They're training you. They're programming you to do this savage activity that is not for your betterment, not for your better good, your greater good, right? So you've been programmed now to be a crackhead. So now you got people who are popping pills. You have which is something that maybe in the European community, maybe they've had this problem for a while, but we didn't have that issue. But now you have this issue. Now you got all the people popping pills and mileage and all this stupid mess, right? So this is how you know, and because it's not just like one or two people, it's a problem. So this is how you know that you've been programmed. If you with that activity, you've been programmed to be like that. You've been programmed to think you got to be drunk or high all the time. You've been programmed to do all of this activity that makes you not on point. And I know there's some Moors who go and try to find ancient pictures of people getting high to be like, oh, we was always getting high. No, you're so foolish, you don't even realize that you're at war. You're at war. The Crusades never ended. It's been war on the Moors for almost 1,000 years now. Not quite, but almost. You can say it's been 1,000 years, but the Europeans haven't been in control that long. So it's been war on us for several hundred years. Several hundred years, without a doubt. It didn't end. And you're at war, and you think it's cool for you to get high? You think it's cool for you to be high out your mind? To get high every day? Are you stupid? You think you just get high like a hippie and be walking around smelling the flowers and just having sex and getting drunk, right? Are you stupid? You're at war, and you think you can get high every day or drunk every day. You're a fool, okay? Now, it's one thing if you don't realize you're at war, but if you claiming to be a Moor, you're supposed to know what time it is. But you claiming to be a Moor and you don't even know because you want to be savage. All right? So that ought to wake somebody up, man. You at war. You can't be getting high all the time, you fool. You must clean yourself up. You must have discipline. You need to be like the fruit of Islam, right? In the Nation of Islam, you need to be disciplined, at least have control over yourself enough that you don't have to put some substance in your system every day or even every other day, right? You got to have control. And then control over your lower self. You're not out here trying to sleep with any and everything, because that makes you weak. All right? That weakens you. That opens you up to exposure in so many ways, right? And if you like still, oh, I just want to get high, that means you just want to stick your head in the sand. Pretend nothing's going on. You can't see it, so you're good. You high. Ain't nothing wrong. But if you sticking your head in the sand, your backside is exposed, right? Male or female. You want to pretend there's no problems? Your backside's exposed. And they doing stuff to you. You're vulnerable. All right? So you don't have that luxury where you can just get high. You can just get drunk. It's just whatever, man. It's all good. You don't have that luxury. You got to get it together. You know, you can't pretend to be a Moor. Okay? So if you're a Moor and you're not in the temple, you should at least be studying. At least be studying the Quran, the divine constitution, and even if you haven't joined, you're listening. Maybe you on the Zoom calls with us. You're listening so that you got an idea of what it means to be a Moor, a Moorish American, for real, not faking the funk. All right, because if you out here, you with the ways of Rome, you're not a true Moorish American. Moorish Americans are not with the ways of Rome. We gave the church and Christianity back to the Europeans. We do not wish to amalgamate with the Europeans. Okay? You wish to amalgamate with them. You wish to do a whole lot of other things. Right? Here's another example. You can't be out here, I mean, it would just be an embarrassment claiming to be Moorish American and say you're a dude and you're dressed like a woman. Right? You got on a woman's clothes and makeup and all this stuff, wig and everything. And it's obvious that you're a dude, and you got your little fez on and a little t-shirt that says Moorish. Like, what, Moorish American? What do you think you're doing? You're making yourself look like a fool, and you're making it look like Moorish Americans are with that foolishness, which we are not. We are not. Rome is, though. Oh, yeah. Rome's cool with all of that. Matter of fact, for years now, they're pushing really hard right now, but for years, they've been conditioning all of us to accept it. And if you don't accept it, you better not say nothing about it, right? So those are the ways of Rome. Rome has no problem with that. And if that's offensive to you, who cares? I know there's, Moors, there's people, maybe sisters out there, you like dressing like a dude, maybe you're lesbian or whatever, dyke, whatever. And you dress like a dude, but you're more great. No one's trying to hurt your feelings or anything, but we're just keeping it real. Real Moorish Americans, that's not what we're about. We are Muslims. Those are the ways of Rome. Rome is cool with all that mess. We're not. We're not cool with it. We can't be cool with it. It's not all good. It's not natural, right? Just because Disney tells you that it's natural and pushes and forces this stuff on the children, don't mean that it's cool. All right? And if you are real, you understand it. Yeah, these are the ways of Rome. Rome is cool with that. Rome, that's why as soon as Biden got his butt in office, immediately went to passing bills to make it where all these organizations like public schools and universities, everyone that receives government funding, they could lose their funding if they don't allow, transgenders and all these other people to use whatever bathroom they want. So you got a little girl in the bathroom, your daughter's in there, and some old pervert man wants to go in there because he identifies as a woman. You gotta let it go, right? Right, this is what they're about. And this is what they promote. Rome is cool with all of that. All right? We're not. Those are the ways of Rome. We have marriage instructions for man and wife. Period. Okay? Not attacking nobody. It just is what it is. If you got a problem with that, you got to go. Now, if you understand and you're cool, good. Yeah, great. But if you got a problem with that, you got to go. Because at the end of the day, you love Rome more than you love your prophet, more than you love being a true Moorish American Muslim. And that's a problem. We can never be cool with that. And that's pretty much how it goes across the board. I mean, you love getting high and drunk. you might as well be homosexual because you love the ways of Rome. You love the ways of Rome more than, coming into the ways of your forefathers and foremothers. And you can't force that on us. You can't force us to comply with that. We have nothing to do with that. We're not with that. And anyone who is, you're just out here making yourself look bad and then bringing the movement into a bad light. Because for instances like the dude, the woman posting the pictures of the dude beating her and getting arrested, this turns other people away from the truth. If anyone else was, starting to realize that there are more and they see this occurring, right? What does this do to them? This makes them think, oh, the Moors are with this, when we're not. And then you got somebody on the post talking about F the temple when it's like, yo, y'all with this savagery. You can't force the savagery on the Moors. We're not with that. We're not with the ways of Rome. We do our own thing. We follow the ways of our ancestors. We're about getting into divine order, right? Subduing the lower self and being one with Allah. That's what we're about. So, anything else that you see, lower self activity, it has nothing to do with us. We're not with it. We don't promote it. Matter of fact, we're against it. And we work on ourselves, on being the best version of ourselves. It doesn't mean anyone is perfect right out the gate. It's just that, look, we're working on being a better version of ourselves. And if we're not in our higher self, we're not going to be out here promoting it. Right? We're not going to be out here promoting it, acting like it's all cool. Y'all got to accept me in my lower self. No, it's not cool. So just wanted to share that because this is one of the problems. People wanting to force this on the movement. Force this lower self activity, lower self mindset on the movement. It's never going to work. It's not going to work. Your way you want and your way you will have, but your way leads to death and destruction. And that's it. At the end of the day, that's it. And it doesn't matter what you claim, whether you claim to be Hebrew, Israelite, Moor, ancient Kemet. It doesn't matter what you're claiming. It's not going to work because you don't want to work on yourself. And that's why what the prophet brought doesn't appeal to everyone because a lot of people are still under this savage program. There's a video on here exposing the savage program, making it plain and to everyone. And it's specifically to our community, but we've also been used as a tool to spread this mindset across the world. So definitely check that video out. On that note, though, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Peace and love.
All right, Moors, don't go anywhere. It's not quite done yet. Just got a little bit more to go. But just want to answer some of the things that I see in the chat. Brother said, if you're not meditating and holy breathing, then you're lost and confused. Temple Moor meditation is very high level mystical science. And that's partially true. I say partially because I don't think you understand what prayer is. You're probably thinking of prayer from a Christian European perspective. When you go into the mystical way to pray, see, people don't even know how to pray. So don't go anywhere, people. We're going to drop some science. Everybody make sure you hit like and share. So in order to truly pray, like meditating is when you're listening, you're quieting the mind. Praying is when you're using the holy word, when you're speaking, not speaking with the mouth, though, when you're creating. Okay. And so, like God spoke and he created, right? He said, let there be light. You're saying it's vain babble because you don't know how to pray, brother. And that's just the truth. So in order to truly pray, you go inside the mind. Now, first we'll do meditate. So to meditate, you quiet the mind, right? The easiest way is to focus on your breaths, right? Especially for those who don't have practice with meditating, focus on breaths, quiet the mind, right? You're not speaking. You're trying to lessen your thoughts and just quiet the mind. That's meditating. for the most part. Simplest way to put it. In prayer, the true way to pray is to go within into the imagination to create your reality. It's no vain babble. It's no getting down on your hands and knees, putting your hands together to pray, looking up, God, please give me this. There's no none of that. There's no please give me this. There's no none of that. To pray is to go within to create in the imagination, using the imagination to create your reality, adding the feeling to the whatever vision, whatever it is that you're trying to create, and manifesting it into the physical reality. Now, if you don't understand how to do that, then you don't know how to create, how to bring things from the fifth dimension, right? Into the physical, how to break that barrier. That's real. And of course, that's something that everyone doesn't know, but that's something that I guess you could only know from maybe studying Kabbalah, studying the esoteric lessons. Like there's the esoteric, the Gnosticism in Christianity, or the Sufism in Islam. If you get into the esoteric lessons, then you really understand how to pray and how to meditate. And so saying that is vain babble, those things might sound smart, but they don't sound smart when you're talking to somebody who's a true Moorish American Muslim. Not saying that I'm the one, just saying there's probably several in here. All right. What you're saying, no attack on you, but that's vain babble. What you're saying is vain babble. You don't even understand how to pray. It's manifesting, as the brother said. It's creating your reality. No matter what you're going through, if you're sick, you're sitting up in a hospital bed, you just got surgery or something just happened, you messed up, you can't move, you go within. You feel yourself being healthy. You feel that situation that you're in right now being in the past. You quiet the mind and you do that. That's prayer. And your body, your cells, everything within you listens to that voice. Even though you didn't speak it out loud, you spoke it what? In the mind, inside. And you didn't even speak about being healthy. You just felt yourself there and you felt it as your reality. And then you carry on as if it's done. That's the faith, belief, faith, fruition. These are also lessons from the prophet. But if you don't follow the prophet, you don't know about this stuff. And you don't know how what the prophet brought is real. So belief, faith, fruition. You just do that all within the head. And that's prayer. And then you make your body heal itself even faster than medicine and doctors or whatever else could have done. Just by praying. But if you don't know how to pray, you don't know what's done. And you think it's vain babble. But in reality, you saying that is vain babble. Because it shows that you don't know. And so it's not an attack. It's not a big I, little you. It's ask some questions. Everybody needs to humble themselves, including me. Ask questions. You don't know as much as you think you know. You truly don't. Meditation is one part of it. That's the quieting of the mind. The prayer is the creation, is actually bringing things into the physical manifest. And you don't just study the Quran. You actually put it into, you make it a practice. You make it a practice in your everyday life. Okay, the steps, the things that are in there, the invisible tools that you're given, this is how you put it into practice in your everyday life. We're not just out here just trying to sound smart. Okay, Islam, as the brother said, that's the holy breath. You're creating, and you can do that. You can't get there by dwelling on the situation that you're in. The masterminds know this. The rest of the people, they do that babble where you're sick and you telling everybody, oh, I'm sick, right? You got fired. Oh, I'm fired. I got fired. I'm broke. I'm having all these problems. You going on. That's what everybody else does. There's some people who will sit up and talk to you for 2 hours straight about all the problems in their life. That's not a mastermind. Okay. So yeah, mastermind can change everything that seems to be a problem. First off, they don't even see it as a problem, even if it's difficult and they don't want to be going through it. They realize it's just a challenge. Why? Because without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. Thought must be exercised, right? It must go through this process to demonstrate the strength. The strength of what? Of Allah. Of Allah may manifest. And so how do you do this? By creating your reality. Overcoming it.
You do that within. And so it's not a debate. This is real. How do I know it's real? Because I do it. How do other people in here know it's real? Because they do it too. You put it into practice. If you don't know it's real, the only way you can truly know is by experiencing it. Why? Because man must travel all the ways of life. Man must become what he knows. You don't truly know if you don't become it. And once again, these are the lessons. This is why Moorish Americans can't leave this out. You know, your brother was also in here saying we're not Moorish Americans, we're Moorish Moroccans. Now, this is no knock on you, brother, but that shows you are on your own with that. There's no we. Don't say we unless you're talking about you and a handful of people that you physically know. It's not we, it's you or y'all. Okay, the rest of us are Moorish American Muslims because we follow our prophet, a real person who before the internet with, you know, the Noble Drew Ali didn't just put up a couple memes and just run around running his mouth. Right. He actually was getting out there, having to physically travel to all these different places, physically meet and build with people, physically make sure these people are getting businesses up and running in each of these communities, and then physically moving as a nation. And so that's why we physically and spiritually and metaphysically follow the example set by the prophet, because he did these things even before it was easy to reach all of these people with just the push of a button. All right. And that's in alignment with what this is about with us. What are Moorish Americans? Moorish Americans have to be Muslims. Muslims submit to the will of Allah, whatever name you want to call. I'm not going to sit up like the brother in here was saying. I think he's a Hebrew Israelite. I'm not against that. You know why? Because we don't care what name people refer to the Creator as. If you're following divine law, if these things are assisting you in subduing your lower self, we're not going to sit up and argue about the name that you call Allah. Okay? We're not going to do that. And so we don't want to just sit up here and try to sound like we know what we're talking about, say some hot things. This stuff don't sound as hot as you think it does. It's not. All right? So, yeah, stop spreading the misinformation. We're not with that. Okay? We're not Moorish Moroccans. We're Moorish Americans. If you Moorish Moroccan, whatever, Moorish Nuwabi and all that stuff, go ahead and do that stuff. But they ain't no we. All right? This is about who Moorish Americans are. So why even come on here? Go make a video about Moorish Moroccans or something else. Right? This is about Moorish Americans. This is what we are. This is who we are. This is what we stand on. You saw the pictures up on the screen of the Quran, the Constitution and bylaws, right? The Quran questionnaire, the things that our prophet brought us. This is the guideline. This is the structure. This is the foundation. This is what we stand on, period. You can't come against the name American and try to give us some other reasons why that's not what we are. No, man, that's you on your own. There's nothing wrong with being on your own. Stand on your own. We all have to stand on our own. But at the end of the day, as far as this nationality, as far as this salvation is concerned, divine and earthly, oh no, we rocking with this because we actually have a prophet. Allah raised one of us from amongst our people here in North America, speaking our language, going through Jim Crow days, knowing intimately what our people were suffering through, and set up this divine program for us. So we're riding with it. And anyone trying to come in and remix it, add their own little 2 cents or add something from somebody online or what they saw on something, I don't care. They can go somewhere with that mess. Go ahead. Go on somewhere. You're not going to change this. Nobody's going to change this. If you're making things up, if you're against the prophet, return to the state where the prophet found you. And so this isn't about that person or anyone else in particular. This is for everyone out there. This is not a game. There's structure. There's law and order here. If you have problems with law and order and structure, that's just on you. That's not how we get down. And on that note, just everybody hit like and share. All right, peace, Moors. Let's build a little bit further on this topic. Just going back to religion, okay? With what the prophet brought us, there's no need to change anything that he brought or to try to force the ways of Rome on what the prophet brought for us. He already Americanized Islam as much as could be done while maintaining the purity of it. And he deemed it fit for our earthly and divine salvation. So there's no need to change it. So it's already been created or been revealed to us in a way that is best fit for our nature and for who we are as a people. It doesn't need to be changed. And I'm saying this because, like, for us, being Muslims doesn't mean we have to learn Arabic or Arabic culture and customs and traditions. We don't have to do any of that. And I say this because, it's important to understand that. Like, just earlier today, I was looking at this. There's this Coptic Islam peace Moors. Just want to add one more thing to that, okay? Just one more thing, right? I see this line of thinking too a lot, right? The prophet says society is going to fall, but you're saying get a business. It's evident you don't meditate. So the prophet, okay, and we've talked about this before. The prophet said that we suffer from economic slavery. He let it be known from a religious perspective that the preaching of economic security, right, it's of the utmost importance to us. It's not even as important in our communities as it should be. The prophet said this. He kept stressing over and over again the economic strength, the economic security, and how important it is for us to move in this direction, to be businessmen and businesswomen. Okay, once again, this is another example of the Moors not following the prophet, claiming to be Moors. You're not Moorish American if you don't follow the prophet. If you're humble, you will get in and learn. I can give you some examples. You need to read, you need to get Moorish literature, and you need to read it. And you need to really get in there and understand what this movement is really about. Because there's a lot of people out there probably who need to do this. We all should. Right? We weren't just born knowing this. They didn't teach us this in schools. Nobody's trying to give us this light. So you need to get in there and really learn. If you're sincere, get in there and learn this, because it's obvious you don't understand. To even insinuate that we're not supposed to be businessmen and businesswomen because it's all going to fall. You know how long they've been saying this was all going to fall? All right. That doesn't mean you stick your head in the sand, right? You build up your economic strength, because if you don't do it now, guess what? You thinking everything is just all going to fall and everything's going to fall, so you don't have to worry about nothing. Well, guess what? The people who's preparing, who are taking care of their business, they're going to be ruling over you. And that's just common sense. All right. You can reach potential if you don't take care of your economic needs. I'm not making this up. This is understood, though, by all true Moorish Americans. Why? Because we follow the prophet. He let this be known as plain and clear. And so I want all the Moors watching this to understand. You need to share this. All right. Now, if you need to know, if you're sincere, look, get Moorish literature. Make sure that you read the Moorish leaders' historical message to America. This is actually written by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You need to read that, because in connection with our religious aims and beliefs, we must promote economic security. That's a quote from the Prophet. The preaching of economic security among us is by no means as widespread and intensive as the circumstances demand. No one other thing is more needed among us at this time than greater economic power. Once again, that's from the Prophet. It says, we shall be secure in nothing until we have economic power. Do you need to hear more? A beggar people cannot develop the highest in them, nor can they attain to a genuine enjoyment of the spiritualities of life. Okay, this is from the prophet. So once again, there's no, oh, Moors, you don't need to start businesses because it's all going to fall. Nowhere did the prophet say that. Nowhere did the prophet say that. You can't be a man and lead if this is how you think. Where are you leading? Hopefully there's no women and children dependent on people that think like this, because where are you leading them to? Straight to hell.
Not some fantasy hell that's beneath you with fire and flames. No, to a very real hell that's right there in your city, in your home, because you're leading them into poverty. Talking about we don't need to handle our business, right? You needed to handle your business last year, the year before that. You need to handle it now, and you're gonna need to handle it next year. What the hell are these people talking about? We don't need to handle it because it's gonna form. So that means okay. So you don't need to get land. You don't need to grow food. You don't need what? Firearms. You don't need nothing, right? You don't need anything, right? Because it's all just gonna fall into your lap. No. The prophet, but I just quoted the prophet, so that should really dead it for all true Moorish Americans, because we quoted the prophet. A beggar people cannot develop the highest in them, nor can they attain to a genuine enjoyment of the spiritualities of life. All right, this is from the prophet. So make sure that all the true Moors out there who want to gain better understanding, right? I'm not making any of this up. All of this is deriving from the prophet, even if it's my words. It's because this is the example that's said. No, you don't stick your head in the sand, and no, you don't just act like everything's gonna fall into your lap. All right, you can. There are some quotes that have been attributed to the prophet about eventually the wheels, stopping, and when it starts back, it'll be in the Asiatics' hands. But some of those quotes are very shaky and questionable. You want to go off that shaky, questionable stuff when we have the actual things that were published by the prophet in his time. He's the editor of the Moorish Guide. This is attributed to him because he actually did it. He said it. This is what he stood on, right? Come on. That's what we go off of, right? Not some quote that could have actually been attributed to one of these people who claimed to be the prophet reincarnated. And everybody's, the prophet said this like 100 years later. Come on, man. No. Is everybody following me? So I'm going to simplify this, right? You heard the quote from the prophet. We handle our business, period. If you're a true Moorish American, you are a businessman. You are a businesswoman. That's why you saw the Moors wearing suits and ties. That's why the Moors weren't sagging their pants, walking around with their underwear hanging out, looking stupid. Okay? Come on. No, you can't just. Moors are aggressive. We don't hope that everything just falls into our lap. We handle our business. And the Moors that don't want to handle their business, you're not going to get the benefits of this, of us handling our business, because you're not helping. All right? You're going to be out there with the rest of the Negroes. That's a Negro mentality. Negroes do this all the time. Ain't nothing special about that. Negroes get taken care of, and they think that they're going to keep getting taken care of, that they're going to get let down. All right? So that's it, man. Don't take these. See, people want to go with those alleged prophecies because some of them sound good. Oh, the prophet said the Moors gonna have, they're gonna be walking down the street and the little boy is gonna say, Mom, I saw a man. Like the men, gonna be so rare that they can have as many women as they want. You want to take that and run with it. But how come the prophet didn't talk about that in the Moorish Guide? Right? Come on, man. We're not running with any of that boo-boo, foo-foo, fugazi, flimsy, wet noodle type stuff. This stuff is flimsy. It's shaky. It's quicksand. You can't stand on quicksand. We stand on firm salvation. Firm foundation, like the prophet in the image you see here, right? With the prophet standing on a solid rock of salvation on the front cover of the Quran questionnaire. That's what we stand on. We can't deal with that shaky stuff. All right. So the prophet said, businessmen, businesswomen, handle your business, period. Please don't try to come in here quoting the prophet half-ass, okay? No offense. Excuse the language. We got to keep it real in here. You can't come with that. More science. So we're scientists. We're not with that, craziness, that foolishness, okay? That's what it is. Because you're going off of quotes that we don't even know who it really came from. All right, there's no strength in that. Okay, and Islam, yeah, we going into this now. This is next. This is what we covering. So the Arabic culture is not Islam. There's a Egyptian Coptic church here in my city, and they're in their services speaking Arabic. And guess what? They're reading out the Bible. So don't try to come to me acting like you're more Islamic because you know a little Arabic or you know a little Arabic culture. We don't care. That has nothing to do with us. We don't need it at the end of the day. Now, if you want to learn Arabic so that you can communicate, so that you can do international business, beautiful. But if you think that's making you closer to the Creator, you are a fool, because that means you're limiting the Creator to one region of the world. And that's silly. That's silly. We don't do that. So let's get back in here, Morris.
While maintaining the purity of it. And he deemed it, there's no need to change anything that he brought or to try to force the ways of Rome on what the prophet brought for us. He already Americanized Islam as much as could be done while maintaining the purity of it. And he deemed it fit for our earthly and divine salvation. So there's no need to change it. So it's already been created or been revealed to us in a way that is best fit for our nature and for who we are as a people. It doesn't need to be changed. And I'm saying this because, like, for us, being Muslims doesn't mean we have to learn Arabic or Arabic culture and customs and traditions. We don't have to do any of that. And I say this because, it's important to understand that. Like, just earlier today, I was looking at this. There's this Coptic Christian church here where I live at. And they're having an Egyptian festival, matter of fact. They're having an Egyptian festival this weekend. Okay? And so there's a lot of Egyptians there. Coptic Christians, that's in Egypt. Right? So they have their service. They put their service online. And if you go and look at it on their YouTube page, right, they're having mass just like the Catholic Church does. And they're speaking what language? Guess what language they're speaking? Arabic. It sounds like they're having a call to prayer when they're like chanting. They're speaking Arabic and they're reading the Bible. And if you look in the church, they have all these pictures of these European looking saints. And of course, Jesus. Everybody's real light skin, looks European. And I'm not knocking it, not knocking them. I'm just saying they're speaking Arabic and they're reading the Bible in the church. So for us, being a Muslim has nothing to do with Arab custom, culture, or traditions, or language. Okay? Islam has already been Americanized for us as much as can be. And still maintain its purity. Getting us back in alignment with the source and with subduing our own lower self. Right? Revealing all of the mysticism around it and getting to the source. Like, look, there's no devil out there. There's no thing out there that's working against you. It's our own higher and lower self. So getting straight to the source, removing all of that so that we can really get this divine and earthly salvation. So the prophet already did that for us. So there's no need to try to change it. Now, once again, going back to this, some people don't want that Islamism because why? Well, you have people that have issues with returning the church and Christianity back to the European, with people that have issues with our desire to build up our own family, our own nation, and to stop amalgamating into the pale skin, the families of the pale skin nations of Europe. So there's, women, you want to swirl, as they call it. You want to date European men, so you have a problem with that. There's men, same way, right? You just want to sleep with European women, so you got a problem with that. But you can't come in and change that. And so there's people who have these issues and they don't want to follow our divine instructions. But you can't change those divine instructions. You can't. You can't change it to suit your needs. The prophet was moving us away from having chemical addictions, from having substance abuse problems, right? He was moving us away from having these problems. And so you can't bring those problems into the divine and national movement and say, well, look, this is being a Moor. No, it's not. It's not being a Moorish American. That's being a Negro. That's being black. That's being whatever you being called today. That's being black. That's being African American. And you're trying to force that on Moorish American Muslims. That has nothing to do with us. Moorish Americans aren't supposed to be alcoholics. You're not supposed to have to smoke weed every day, right? You're not supposed to have those problems. The Prophet moved us away from it because at the end of the day, he let us know we suffer for our own sins, for our own desire and need to gratify the desires of our lower self. Okay? It's not on anyone else. It's not punishment. It's what we do when we are not in our higher selves. When we're following after other people's traditions, following after the gods and the customs and culture of other people. That's why you suffer. So the Prophet put that on us. So if we're to give these things up to become better versions of ourselves, and you have no desire to do that, you can't be Moorish American. You have work to do. It's like you can't just say you're God and that's it. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to subdue your lower self. No, because with the power comes responsibility. So if you want that scepter of power that the king has, you can't get mad when there's responsibility, when there's now pressure. Because with all power comes responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your own actions, but not even just your actions. The Prophet said for our actions, thoughts, and deeds. Thoughts, deeds, and actions. Words, everything. If you want dominion, right? Because in the ultimate reality, this is revealed to us, is that we control our reality, not just within our body. We control the cells in our body. We also control the outside world as far as it affects us. Okay, even how people treat you, everything. We have impact on all of that and dominion over it. All right, man is the Lord of the plane of things made manifest and of the plane of soul. So you have dominion over all of that, and there's no excuses. And so in order to wield that power, you have to master self. There's no way around it. You can't have those Negro issues and truly wield the power. You will just be another victim, just like everyone else, if you want to sidestep the responsibility. All right? And that's where the issues really come from. People want to sidestep the responsibility. And that's why you'll see then embarrassing things, like there's the one guy who tried to steal someone's house. He claimed to be a Moor, which you shouldn't do, right? This is terrible. And then he tried to take an Asiatic woman's house. So he failed on 2 levels because he didn't. The SWAT came and kicked him. Failed. He didn't even accomplish his goal to steal this house from this Asiatic woman who just bought the house. But then 2, he made the movement look bad. He tried to associate himself as a Moorish American when there's no way in hell a true Moorish American Muslim would try to steal a house from anyone, and especially not his own people. Right? We're not out here trying to scam and get over on our people. So he's making the movement look bad. And then also turning people away from the truth, which means he's falsehood, which means he's in his lower self. And he probably doesn't even get that because he's still out there selling paperwork to some of you. Because some of you think that you can buy paperwork from someone who's failing out here. There's no way, and there's no way, no way I'm taking advice or guidance from someone who's failing at life, right? You're out here trying to steal and get over on people. You're out here selling paperwork and stuff that you don't even use. There's no way that I would take advice from this person, guidance from this person. You're buying this stuff and then putting your life, your freedom on the line to use something that they don't even use. They're out here stealing, trying to get over it, even on their own people. They don't even have enough shame to say, well, look, I'm not going to try to take houses from my own people. right? And it fails. Getting kicked out by the SWAT team, the ultimate embarrassment, to add on top of the fact that it was an Asiatic woman. And this is what I'm saying. So you who are out here, who aren't aligned with the Moorish divine national movement that the prophet set up through the temple, this is what you have. Those are your leaders. These reckless people who are in their lower self, who aren't even trying to really be Moorish Americans. They're comfortable and fine with faking the funk. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing if we're not getting into the temple. I knew I was a Moor for a long time before I actually got into the temple. I didn't get into, like, about 14 or 15 years after I realized I was a Moorish American, I finally got into the temple. And it opened my eyes, because really just learning the structure and seeing how 99% of the people out there claiming to be Moorish Americans are in error, flagrant error. It's time for this stuff to change. It's time. You can't keep rolling with these things that don't work. All right? And it will continue to fail and continue to paint the movement in a bad light, and also continue to put you in harm's way. The only way out, the only way to salvation is through the prophet's movement. I'm not saying that people can't be successful, live good lives, unless they're joining the movement. No. I'm talking about as a collective, coming into our own, being who we are. It's not going to succeed if people want to leave that out. That doesn't even make sense for people to think you can really build a nation and you don't have your own structure, your own religion, your own laws, right? Like, how would people even think that would work? You don't have any desire to have your own law, your own structure, your own moral system and standards that keep you in line and your community in line, right? And when I say in line, I mean not acting flagrant like people do, right? You got people gangbanging, people doing all type of people trying to steal houses from other Asiatics, and they claim to be Moors. So how do you control that? You have to have law and order. You have to have morals. You have to have principles, higher principles that guide you, right? What you gonna do about the drug issues and all of these things? You have to have these higher principles that you conduct yourself on. And so, you can't leave that out. People want to leave it out because they have no desire to clean themselves up. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Just gonna call it like it is. And if that offends some people, the truth hurts. But at the end of the day, even though people try to cover this up, truth does not change nor pass away. So it doesn't matter, that people, you got people out here being unruly, leading others astray even. They can't cover up the truth for long. It has to come out. And then when it comes out, those people who've been lying all this time, they're now putting themselves in harm's way, because people are realizing they've been lied to the whole time. That people have been leaving out the most important parts. So no, this ain't some movement where you can come in here, acting like a thug, hooked on drugs, addicted to, just random sex like a savage, having motherless, fatherless children all over the place. No, you can't bring that into the movement. No, we're not going to accept that. You can't come in here sagging and being, all about the ways of Rome, right? Molesting children, all of these horrible, despicable things that people are really doing out here. You can't bring that into the movement. It's not going to work. We don't stand for that. We don't. And no, we don't stand for beating on women or children. We don't stand for any of that mess. It's not a part of the movement. Men are supposed to protect and provide for their families. Women are supposed to obey their husband. So if you coming in here thinking you independent and you gonna be running, crazy, telling people what to do, not having any loyalty, any structure, any order, you are in grave error. You are sadly mistaken. This is not like that. You got that already as a Negro. You can do that in the African American community all day, all night. There's no one to answer to. There's no law. There's no order. There's no structure. There are no divine principles. In the black community, we celebrate single mothers. We celebrate. We applaud dudes who just want to have sex with as many females as possible who act like savage animals. We applaud that in the black community. It's cool to not have control over yourself as a man. It's cool to be trying to hop on every female you can and just bounce around and it just, man, I'm a dog. It's cool to be like that. And now it's even to the point where even for females, it's cool to be like that. To be a hoe. To be a straight up hoe. Right? Look at the music. All they push. Nicki Minaj, Meg Thee Stallion, whoever else is out there. All they push is, hoe activity behavior. Cardi B. That's it. And y'all think it's cool now. So anything goes in the African American community. Anything goes. Being, having sexual deviancy, all that stuff is cool. Anything goes. So you can't bring that. It doesn't fly over here. We don't abide by those same rules, even though there are no rules. We don't abide by that. We have structure and order and law. And yes, we are Muslims. And if that turns you off, it's because you are Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. That's it. You call yourself God or goddess, but you're not. You're Satan, devil, dragon, and beast because your thoughts, actions, and deeds speak louder than whatever you want to call yourself. Okay? That's what you truly represent. You may think you're atheist or you don't have religion, you're just spiritual, whatever. But in reality, you do worship Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. You worship the lower self. You don't even know it. You don't even realize that you're under a program. And then that's the problem. You don't even realize that you've been programmed and that you're just acting a way that has been created for the people to go so that they could be lost and so that people could continue to rule over you. If you can't rule over your own lower self, if you aren't even aware of the need to do that, if you think it's cool as a female to call yourself bitch, which is a female dog, if you think it's okay to be savage, guess what? It's okay to gun you down in the streets. And you can scream Black Lives Matters for years. It's been years now. And nothing's really being done. Every once in a while somebody gets charged and every once in a while someone gets convicted, but it's still happening because you're savage. And you're willingly going along with it, painting yourself as that, and allowing the next generation.
All right, so looks like it's some technical difficulties over here, but did just want to speak on something. So I see, which something that we see all the time, people that don't want to follow law and order always say this. Not saying that this is what this brother is saying it for, but people always saying you still a Moor regardless of the temple. Noble Drew Ali didn't create Moors, Allah did. But guess what? The Moors were classified as Negroes, or whatever the European wanted to change it to. You want to change it to colored? Here, you're going to play this game. Now you colored. Okay, now you black. All right? And they still playing the game. The only one who did something about it was the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And he didn't just get on the internet. He didn't just make some memes. He physically did the work. And he moved as a head of state because the Moors moved as a nation. Why? Because they followed his lead. He gave us the divine instructions, period. We honor the prophet. If you don't honor the prophet, just say it. Just go on and return to the state where he found you. You don't have to come up with all these reasons why you don't honor the prophet, why you don't follow the law. I get it. I understand. Negroes are used to being lawless. They used to being lawless. That's why Negroes are classified as undesirables. They're used to that. And they don't want law in order. They don't want structure. They want to be out here still running around being savage. That's what this whole program is about. It's exposing the nigger Moors. They're not Moorish American. You're not Moorish American if you don't follow the prophet. Why? Because he's the one that established it. Period. Return divine law, divine instructions to us. We have ours, everything that we need. We're set. We're good. And so there's still a lot of people who want to still be Negroes, but they want to claim some of the benefits of being a real, actual people that have a real line of descent, which ties them into the creators of civilization. So some people want to claim that, but they still want to have their other foot on the other side of the fence. But they over here, Negro activity. I'm all about getting high and trying to sleep with as many females as possible so I can sire little children all over the city. Because that's what you do when you have animals like dogs. They sire children. They sire not children. They sire puppies. The male dog, he's sires puppies with the bitch, the female dog. Right? This is how they talked about us in the book. This is behind me on the screen. Make sure you go and watch that whole video. Share it. It's called Cracking the Savage Beast Code, exposing the negrification mind control programming that's on this channel. Okay, everybody go check that video out. It exposes it. It exposes it to the point where even people who are deaf, dumb, and blind can see that they need to do something. They can't just keep being savage Negroes thinking it's cool to be savage. Ain't nothing cool about it. It exposes it. It shows how corny it is. And you next time you listening to these cornball rappers, you're gonna be listening to them like, man, this stuff is stupid. Because some of y'all still think it's cool. You're not really Moors. You still think it's cool to sell drugs. Like, how corny is it? You still think it's cool to be killing your own people. It'd be like, I'm out of control. I'm trying to sleep with everyone I can. Right? Like, there's no consequences to that activity, right? They get mad when you got children with women you can't stand and, oh man, she put me on child support. Like, there's consequences to your activities, Tyrone. That's what this is all about. Like pointing it out to you. Like you can't be a savage Negro and be successful, right? It's going to lead to problems. The problems all come from ourselves. It's not them being against you. It's us being against our own selves, individually. So we have to X that out. The prophet came to help us clean ourselves up, right? As it was said in here earlier, we had addictions just like we do now. You can't have substance abuse problems. You can't have, no control over yourself. You can't. You have to take care of this. So you will always fail and you'll always be a mark for someone else to take advantage of. So we have to take care of those issues. People want to gloss over that, right? And so if you sincerely want to change, I would say to align yourself with the temple. Even if you're not with the temple or you don't have any people you can study with, you could hit us up right here on the side. Or if you're on Facebook, you can hit up the Moors in America page. You can get on the Zoom calls with us and just study with us. You're with us. You can just ask questions. That's probably the best thing to do, to fill it out, because a lot of the temples. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's probably the best thing to do anyway. Is just to instead of just jumping in and joining, listen in, on the meetings that we do on Zoom, ask your questions, right? And the reason I say that is because a lot of the temples need to be cleaned up, and you may not be strong enough to go in there and clean it up. You have nigger Moors in the temple. You have nigger Moors in positions of leadership in the temples. Okay, some of the stuff that was covered in here, they doing that. They getting high, they getting drunk. They sleeping with white women, white men. They married to them, even though it's not in our Quran. Like we supposed to be getting rid of all that. You're not supposed to be doing those things anymore. So that stuff has to be cleaned up. You can't just go and allow it to continue when it's in flagrant error, when it's stagnating the movement. Right. And so that's why I'm saying, yeah, study so you know what it really is, so that you can start putting it into practice in your life. Make sure you raising your families as Moorish Americans and building with other people in your city and town so that you can build up your economic structure and get things going where you're at, because you can't just do this online thing. You got to really get with people in your city. But like I said, if you want to, yeah, you can get on the Zoom calls with us and just ask questions. And I agree too, yeah, you have to have a savage side in this world that we're in. Everything's in divine order. So everything that you've been through, anything that we've been through that's toughened us up, that's made us the way it is, it all happened for a reason. Okay, so yeah, you're not out here just all soft and meek, and I can't even front. I'm not like that, right? And I'm not expecting anyone else to. Like, none of us are perfect, but we are to work to bring out this higher form of ourselves. We're to work on that, and we're not to just be like, oh, we don't gotta do no work. I could just be a regular ass animal, right? I could just be a Negro. Like, nah, man, we have to do better. So you keep that in mind. It's not acting like anybody's over here floating around just perfect. No, nobody's saying that. It's just saying, like, dude, when you say you have to have a savage side, I hope that don't mean like you out here just, just being messed up. Like what do you mean, bro? It's like, what do you mean? If you talking about just normal, like you got a little edge to you, cool. But if you talking about you gotta be cheating on your wife, like, nah, that's going too far, right? But nah, I understand. We grew up, we're in this world, but not of it. Okay, that's already understood and don't even have to be said. Okay, so that's, nobody needs to get it twisted to think that you got to be perfect. All right. And this dude, like, you quoted me wrong. I ain't never said that a man there's something wrong with somebody that doesn't have children. I was specifically talking about this goofball, corny dude who pretends to be a grand sheik, and he's always cursing everybody out, talking trash about. All he do is gossip about other people, right? And he's a weirdo. Dude's older than me, doesn't have any children, no female, and all he does is talk about people online, mainly dudes. And he's like fake grand sheik. So that's whack. I was specifically talking about dude. He's weird, man. I ain't saying no names. It's just weird. Because dude got like a dozen videos about me. I don't have any about him. So that's weird. And you sound like a fan. But hey, it is what it is. So and I feel you. Like, none of us would want to be savage, but we travel through all these different ways. We experience all of these different things for a reason. Everything that's brought us up to this point is divine. Even the things that seem messed up, it all happened for a reason, so we can overcome these challenges. So nobody's getting down on anyone or trying to make anyone feel bad for anything you've gone through, whatever brought you to this point. All right. But we do have more responsibility on our shoulders because we descend from the creators of civilization. And so while others may not even have the capacity to be as great as I don't know. I'm not placing limits on them, but we have that capacity and we have to live up to it. All right. We have to subdue our lower selves. Even if you don't get it figured out in this lifetime, that's what we're doing. That's what we're to work on. All right, Islam. So not sure what happened to the audio, but you get the picture. Make sure you share this. Moors need to know it's not just anything goes. It's not just whatever. You make things up as you go along. There's order, there's structure here. You're not Moorish American if you're not a Muslim, if you don't practice Islam, if you're not in the temple, if you don't honor the Prophet, if you don't follow the laws, the rules, the order, the structure that we have. You're just whatever you are. You're flip-flopping around here. You're like a wet noodle. You're just out here like a wet piece of paper, just doing whatever you want to do. You don't follow no order, no rule. Islam scares you because you're a roach, because you're a Negro, okay? you're a Negro with a fez on, or maybe you don't even wear the fez, or you got different color fezzes, or whatever. People just making up doing their own thing. And y'all can do that because in Rome, anything goes, it's whatever, especially to your detriment. So your way you want and your way you should have, but it leads to death and destruction. And on that note, let's get up out of here, Moors. Make sure you hit like and share. Alhamdulillah. You heard?